Hi everyone, welcome back to my lab and today's video, which is going to be a review and demo of the brand new Natasha Denona Coral Palette. In this video, I'm going to show you a demonstration of how the eyeshadows perform, I'm going to show you swatches, and I'm going to show you some comparisons to the previously released Natasha Denona Sunrise Palette. Before we get into the video, if you're new here, I'm Yori. Thank you for clicking on this one. If you enjoy it, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you can join me for a future video. I'm uploading 3 times a week. Now let's go ahead and get into the video. I'm going to demonstrate the eyeshadow palette for you, but I'm going to leave that for the end. It's a very simple eye look. I wanted to get through the key points of the eyeshadow before I get into the demo. This is what the outer packaging looks like. It's very nice. It has a holographic effect and it's a little bit of a coral finish. You do have some information on the back side about the different shades that you're going to receive. The palette has a 24-month shelf life. It is paraben-free, cruelty-free, and made in Italy. Now it's interesting, this packaging has instructions for how to use. It says for matte eyeshadows, apply with fluffy eyeshadow brushes, and metallic duochrome or chroma crystal eyeshadow should be applied with dense brushes for a subtle finish, or apply with a damp eyeshadow brush or with the tip of your fingers. It's funny, I've never seen the description on her packaging before on how to use it. This is what the eyeshadow palette looks like. It's her new 5-pan eyeshadow palette style that doesn't have that gap at the bottom that some of the older ones do. On the back side, you do have information about the palette, and you do have those little openings so that you can pop out the shades and put them into your own magnetic palette, which is really, really nice. These are what your 5 shades look like. They are 2.5 grams a piece. You have 2 mattes, which are going to be those 2nd and 4th shades. You do have 2 metallics, which are the first and the last, and 1 duochrome shade, which is this one in the center. So you have a variety of finishes in the palette. When using the palette, I did find that it was a little bit powdery, especially with the shade Lyria here, which is a creamy matte. I mean, it wasn't any trouble. I wasn't getting fallout. It's just powdery when I dip my brush in there. My brushes are very, very soft. I'm going to go ahead and show you some swatches of this palette. The swatches are just one swipe, finger swatches with no primer on the arm. The swatches are very, very beautiful. Now, I did want to compare it to the Sunrise palette because it looks very similar. Now, the Sunrise palette has a lot of red tones here, but it does have those corally shades as well. So I wanted to show you a side-by-side swatch comparison of shades from the Coral palette that I think are very, very similar to shades in the Sunrise palette. So for the shade Kai, I swatched that against the Sunrise Awakening. For the shade Lyria, I swatched that against the shade Morgan. For the shade Abalone, I swatched it against the shade Aster. For the shade Dakota, I swatched it against the shade Clove. Now, I could have mixed it with Jasper to get a more similar tone, but I just wanted to illustrate the different swatches. And for the shade Lola, I swatched it against the shade Phlox. What do you think? It's really similar, isn't it? At first, I was tempted to do one eye with one palette and one eye with the other palette to see if I can get like mirror image looks. I know for sure the look I'm wearing right now, I can definitely get out of this palette. So I wanted to hurry and get my review out because honestly, this palette retails for $48. I've purchased her 5-pan eyeshadow palettes before and been very happy with them. It's no different for this one. It's very high quality. You're gonna see it performs really well. The swatches are beautiful. The shades are beautiful as well. But this is $48 and this is $65. Now, I know that the price difference is not insignificant. However, you're getting a lot more options in this palette. So personally, my advice would be if you were interested in the Coral palette and you haven't purchased the Sunrise palette, get this instead if you can afford it because it's going to give you a lot more options and it's going to give you some of these beautiful yellow tones that will give you options for other types of looks. And if you already own this one, quite honestly, I would pass on this one. It's so similar. I looked and I couldn't find exact dupes. I'm not gonna say that they're exact because we're all makeup junkies here. We know that no 2 shades are exactly alike, but it's so similar, honestly, that if you already have this palette, there's no way that you really need this one. I kind of went in on blind faith when I purchased this one, thinking that they might be different or that it might be nice to have something a little bit more portable. But you know, this eyeshadow palette also has the option to pop out the shadows, and you can put that in a small travel palette and take that along with you. I'm just trying to save you a little bit of money because, you know, $48 is not a small amount, and I think that it is something that you can do without in terms of this palette. Just my personal opinion. Again, it's nothing against the quality. The quality is beautiful. The shades are beautiful. The theme is beautiful. It's just repeat of what you already have here. I apologize for the sun hitting me on this side. It's just the sun is setting on that side. There's really nothing I can do about it. So hopefully it's not too distracting. But let's go ahead and get into the demo. I want to apologize because my right eye was giving me a lot of trouble today. It's nothing having to do with the eyeshadow palette. It's definitely user error or user flaws. I have a leaky eye. This eye is always my problem eye. So I'm gonna do this one on camera so that you can see just how beautifully the shades perform and you can see how I created this look. So let's go ahead and get into the demo quickly and I'll be back with my final thoughts. Usually when I do these demos, I have already done one eye off camera, and I'll tell you, I tried a couple of times, but my eye is watering so badly. I don't know if you can see that there, but I've had to wipe it off and start over again because if you have watery eyes, you know that watery eyes are a matte shadow's worst enemy. So I don't want you to judge the palette based on how my eye looks. So I'm actually going to do this eye on camera and I will fight with the other one off camera. I've always jokingly referred to that eye as my bad eye, and today, ooh, it's doing something. I think part of the problem is that I was trying to use all the shades even though I'm not inspired to do all the shades. So I'm gonna go through and use the palette as I normally would. I have now used all 5 shades and all 5 of them are very good. So I'm just gonna do a very basic kind of everyday eye just so that you can see how the shadows perform. I'm gonna take a BOM number 44 and I'm gonna go into the shade Lyria. I find that this shade is a little bit powdery, but I don't get any fallout from it. It's one of her creamy matte formulations. I'm also going to run that along the lower lash line. Next, I'm going to take a Sonia G Crease Pro and I'm going to take the shade Dakota, which is another creamy matte. With a Zoeva 240, I'm going to take this shade along the lower lash line, just on the outer third, to give me some more definition. And then I'm going to give all that a nice blend. Next, I'm going to go into that shade Kai, which is a metallic. I'm using a MAC 224. I already know that shade performs better wet, so I'm going to go ahead and get some product on my brush and then I'm going to spray it. So as you can see, if you apply the shadow damp, you don't get any fallout with it. At this point, this is honestly all I want to do with the eye look, but I did want to talk to you about this shade right here. That one is a duochrome abalone, I think, and it's a topper shade, so it's very, very sheer, and it just gives a little extra sparkle to whatever you lay it upon. It has a little bit of a purple shift, as you can see in the pan, but it does have a little bit of peach in it, so it makes it very cohesive with the rest of the palette. And then the shade Lola, that's my cat's name, one of my cat's name, the other one is Ginger, is very metallic. So if you want to do the same look but something maybe a little bit more nighttime, then you can use that shade, or you can use it to blend into the outer V. But I want to leave it just as it is. Sometimes less is more. So I'm just giving a final blend to blend that metallic shade in with the outer V. And that's where we're going to leave the eye look. I'm not sure if I'm going to apply eyeliner or false lashes, but as far as the shadows, this is going to be it. I'll be back, show you the finished look once I get this eye together, and I'll let you know what I added to finish the eye look. Alright guys, so this is where we are. Please do not judge the eyeshadow with the darkness that you see here in the lower lash line of my right eye. It just would not stop watering, and it was tearing to the point where nothing wanted to stick, and if it did, it would just muddy up. So I sort of had to abandon mission, do the best I could with that part of my eye. So definitely focus on the left eye to take a look at how the eyeshadows perform. You saw them applied, so you already know they're beautifully made eyeshadows. They perform very, very well. These shimmers perform better when applied damp. The mattes blend beautifully. So this is your finished eye look, something very simple, but something that I think is very much along with the vibe of the eyeshadow. I'm sorry I couldn't give you a better look, but you know, some days are better than others, right? I'm gonna go ahead and zoom out and I'll be back with my final thoughts. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing that very brief, very easy to recreate demo using the Coral palette. The shades are beautiful, as I mentioned. They apply beautifully. I prefer using the metallic shadows with a damp brush, and the mattes I use as I typically would. They blend beautifully, and the two shades are so harmonious that they blend effortlessly. My advice stands. If you have this one already, you don't need this one. And if you were thinking about getting this one and you can swing this one, I think that you're gonna get a lot more bang for your money with the Sunrise palette. Hopefully you have found this review helpful. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up for me. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe and join my makeup family. I would be so happy to have you. Hopefully you're doing very, very well, and I look forward to seeing you again really, really soon on my next one. Bye-bye.